Welcome back to Real Estate 101. Today we're going to talk about 10 useful tips for small business owners and their retirement, and I'm pleased to be joined by financial planner Jeff Gregory of Desjardins Financial. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Joe.
All right, Jeff, so you've got today 10 useful tips for us for small business owners and their retirement.
Yep.
Why don't you get us started?
Fantastic, look forward to it. So what I figured, when you have to start with number one. And the first useful tip for business owners is actually basically number one, start now. Procrastination kills. We've heard that many, many times. What you want to do is you want to get started, you want to get things kind of rolling. All the energy and all the resources tend to go into the business all the time and not putting a little diversification into your retirement plan. Remember, savings is a marathon, not a sprint. So the sooner you start, the sooner you get a little bit going, the faster you can get out of the business and enjoy on Golden Pond.
Absolutely, Jeff. And as you know, some people will say, I always like to say $100,000 saved at 30, is going to be worth a lot more at retirement than if you start at 50.
Exactly, unless you have children.
Yes,
that changes completely. Yes. So number two is succession plan is a part of the retirement plan. A lot of business owners tend to think that the retirement plan is the business. It's a part of the business. You have to start thinking about a few things. What happens if you give the business to the family member? If you give that, how do you get the money and so forth? So what you want to do is make sure that you have your succession plan planned out a little bit ahead of time. Don't wait till the last minute, but encompass it all with the retirement plan. Don't make it the only thing.
Yeah, and to touch on that, most business owners, you've got to have an exit strategy, knowing, when you get in, how you're going to get out.
That's right, Joe. So for number three, it's actually knowing where your sources of retirement income are going to come from. If the business is being passed on to the family, how are they going to be paying for it? They're going to be paying as a lump sum, maybe expect a bit of a pension. There could be other type of retirement things, but if all that's not planned out and maybe the business isn't going so well just before you hit the retirement part, is Canada Pension, Old Age Security going to be enough? Probably not. So you need to know all the sources of your retirement income, especially as a small business owner, because there are no pensions unless you set up your own and so forth that you can rely upon.
All right, Jeff, and just to touch on that on the business side of it, another way of selling the business is what we like to call an earn-out arrangement, where someone will give you a deposit on the acquisition of the business and then pay you every month or every week, however you structure it, until the entire monies have been paid out.
Yep, annuitizing your business is a nice way to try and get out from time to time. Number four, assemble a team of experts. Take advantage of what people have spent a lot of time learning and knowing within their business. You know your business incredibly well, but you may not know what the tax expert's going to know, what the lawyer's going to know, whether incorporation and all the great advantages with that. The financial advisor can be quite a huge resource, and the realtor,
yep.
Huge resource associated with businesses because they might have property associated with the business that they need to sell and so forth. So utilizing all those expertise can be hugely advantageous for a proper retirement. Don't think you know it all. Don't cheap out every so often. A good person might cost a little bit of money, but they can ensure that you have the retirement you truthfully need.
And just to touch on that, Jeff, it's important that people make sure that when you do, engage these professionals, make sure they are designated and they are certified in their fields of their profession.
The truth, exactly, Joe. You want to make sure that you're dealing with a true professional in every sense of the word. Number five, respect the RSP. Around this time of year, it is February, March, January, the early part when everyone starts thinking about RSP season. But don't just do an RSP just to do an RSP. It's got to be part of a full plan. You're getting a tax deduction, but you're also getting tax deferred growth. As you get closer to the deadline, people rush to the line just to get that money in, but they're not doing anything with it. RSPs are a two-sided coin. Not only you got to save money, you got to make money. So with that, make sure that you're respecting the RSP and that you're watching it and investing it and using the proper channels to get the most out of that money.
And there is no minimum age requirement to start contributing to your RSP, so you can start putting in there from the minute you start earning any money.
As soon as you start a paper route,
yep,
you can actually
absolutely
start doing that. So the more that you can put away, the better. And for business owners, because they can tend to make a lot of good income, they can bank a lot away. But maybe it's also not just RSPs. There's IPPs and retirement compensation agreements for those who are in higher income brackets that need to try and get under certain levels of income. Which, if you do have that scenario and any of your viewers, please do contact myself and be more than happy to discuss these options in much more detail. So number 6 is consider the TFSA. The tax-free savings account is truly a complement to an RSP. It's not meant to be a substitute. It's not meant to be anything that is meant to replace any other form of savings. It truly is an opportunity to save some money that can grow, and you can have what I like to refer to as playtime in retirement. Pensions and RSPs typically will be a budget because it's going to be taxable income, but all of us want to travel. Why don't we do some travel and save up the money in the tax-free savings account so you can go take your significant other to some beautiful locales and enjoy all that hard work you've done over the last many, many years to become the success you are. So a tax-free savings account does have huge advantageous opportunity to complement the RSP. Don't make it a separate item.
And if you're using a top financial planner like Jeff, who can utilize the TFSA, you can absolutely grow your money in, with very minimal risk.
Yep, which is the whole idea and the whole game plan in the end. So number 7, the way to make this really simple for yourself is make it automatic. Have it come out once a month, have it come out every bi-weekly, have something automatically always happening from your bank account. And every institution is able to take your money. We're really good at that. We have no problem taking your money. But what you want to do is, instead of trying to save up and do lump sums, things come up in this world. Things always come up, or temptation comes up. Everything from a car that breaks down to doing that Alaskan cruise. But the more you automatically put that money away, it becomes an unconscious thought, and you'd be surprised how quickly your retirement as a small business owner can happen, so you can focus on the things that you do really well, which is your business, which is your customers, which is getting your invoices paid, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, Jeff. I agree. The system is, when it comes to investing long term, you've got to have a system.
Exactly. So number 8, prepare for the unexpected. Unfortunately, in our lives, we think that we're Superman or Superwoman and nothing can happen to us. But what can derail a whole retirement plan for a business owner really fast is if something comes up, be an illness or an injury or sometimes even death. It's not the fact that you can't work. Sometimes it's the fact that your customers don't think you're there to be able to do the job that you are being paid to do. You are, especially if you're a one-person operation or a two-person operation, you are the business. You run from being the president down to the janitor at that point. So making sure that you have proper safety nets in place, be it, like I said, disability, critical illness, and so forth, can really ensure that your retirement bubble doesn't get taken from. Because if something along those lines happen, the first place most people go to get cash is their RSPs. Don't fall into that trap, because as a business owner, you have even less backup as somebody who's regularly employed with benefits. So make sure that you have a proper benefits package, drug, dental, disability, critical illness. And again, if it's something that your viewers and so forth aren't too sure of, then contact myself. Easy to give a full review, see the strengths, see the weaknesses, and see the opportunity to ensure that you can just focus on the stuff that they do well.
I agree, Jeff. A good long-term strategy is obviously, you set that money aside and it doesn't exist until you're ready to retire.
Exactly. So number 9, have a tax strategy. As a small business owner, one of the biggest opportunities I think happens is they're not realizing the opportunity within the tax system to maximize net numbers. So for example, there is a $750,000 capital gain exemption for qualified small businesses. And if you're not too sure if you are one, then you call the number down below. But for those that are, and a lot of times it comes from property. Most increases that I've seen within small businesses is when they own the property or own the building. And it's had significant growth within that amount of time. You want to make sure that you can have that free back to yourself. So utilizing that strategy, because real estate is one of the biggest growth opportunities for business owners that's happened. When you own the building, you own a lot more than just the goodwill, because goodwill is the other part, but any of the assets. So utilizing Joe, getting the most money, and then talking with myself and tax experts and so forth so you can keep the most money and keep RevCan out of it, a tax strategy would be the ultimate complement you need.
Absolutely, and just to continue to touch on that, if you are using real estate, your principal residence, if you live there for more than 6 months, you can use if you're having trouble putting some money aside for a long-term investment strategy, you can use some of that money that you've increased in the sale of your principal residence. Speak with someone like Jeff who can invest it for you long-term, and now you were able to get the money a lot easier than most people trying to save $100.
Don't forget to talk to Joe, because he'll always get you the max dollar. He's really good at that. And last but not least, revisit and revise. The great thing about any type of financial plan or retirement plan for small business owners is I usually say it's done in pencil because it has an eraser and something's going to come up, an opportunity to buy out a competitor. Maybe you're going to be bought out early and you want to rechange your career. Maybe the market hasn't been that great, or the fact that the family is interested. It always has to be with pencil and always has to be revisited. Try at least once a year as maybe as a base minimum, but this should be very similar to the dentist. You go get your checkup every 6 months, I'm no different than the dentist. Get your retirement focus redone every 6 months, takes about an hour. Plan it out for an hour because you're going to spend the next 52 weeks back on what you do well. Make your money in the business, make your money to do whatever you wish and enjoy your life and so forth. But as long as you revisit it, that money's going to work as hard as you do.
Absolutely. Have a plan, stay focused, don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Stay focused on what you're doing and what your goals are. In the words of a wise man that once started the McDonald's franchise, mind your business. Jeff, I want to thank you for coming on today's show.
My pleasure. If any of your viewers, anyone out there wants to remember, that's why I brought the numbers today. If you can't remember what the point was, just check back at 1, 2, 3, or 4. Call me up and say I want to know more about point 4. Be more than happy to sit down with anyone at that time.
Great stuff, Jeff.
Great. Thanks again, Joe.
So if you're looking for some great information on preparing your financial strategy, get in contact with Jeff Gregory at Desjardins Financial. I'm Joe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.